check. What's up, mother fathers? It's just Underwear, and today I'm going to show you how to turn your Spark into a VRM. This is Inside Out. A few things before we get started. If you want to follow along with this tutorial, you must use Unity version 2019.4.19 and UniVRM plugin 0.107.0. I'll leave links to those plugins in the description. Please make sure to have these versions installed before starting. The current version of these tools aren't broken, it's just the pipeline has changed, so to speak, and my process is different from the current version. I would suggest, if you're watching this video and you want to follow along, use these exact versions. As for Blender, I must apologize in advance as I'm not a Blender user, I use Cinema 4D, so please forgive me if there's a better way to do things, as the way I do it in the video are just the way that I learned. For Mixamo, it's important to note that Mixamo doesn't like our hands. In the video I tell you to rig it with a 65 rig skeleton, which is probably best, but regardless of the bones being available, the hands will still turn out like mittens. You won't get the articulation like mine. When editing textures, it's not necessary to do so unless you're trying to optimize for the metaverse. But be careful, because if you shrink your textures too small, they become choppy. And finally, in Unity, when you're making your graffiti texture, remember to change the render type to cutout or transparent. It's also a good idea not to include the PFP when you're finally exporting your VRM, as that will obviously increase the file size needlessly. I hope you find this tutorial informative, and good luck. Leave a comment in the description below. So, first things first. Head to FyatLux.com, go to your sign-in, go to your collection, find the Spark that you want to convert, and we're going to grab a few things while we're here. We're going to grab this square profile picture. Don't get the card, get the square. And we're also going to get the T-Pose 3D model. Download that. I've already done this, it looks like. Next, this whole process is kind of confusing, so this is going to be all about file structure, so stay organized. You don't have to do any of this for it to work, but it gets confusing really quickly. So, wherever you're going to store this on your computer, we're going to make a gang of folders. Don't mind this OBS capture, that's just what's catching all this recording right now. Okay, so let's make a bunch of folders. First, we're going to make a Blender folder, then an FBX folder, then a GLB folder, then a textures folder, then a Unity folder. I think that's good for now. Go away. Okay. Next, we're going to crack open Blender. And with that open, we could just start a general file, get rid of this stuff. Okay, so now that we have our gang of folders made, we're gonna go to our downloads folder. We're gonna take the Spark that we just downloaded. We're gonna put that into our JLBs. And you can see I've done this a few times. Then in our textures folder, actually instead of in our textures folder, we're gonna make one more folder. We're going to call this cover. And then we're going to put our Spark profile in there. Okay, next in Blender, we're going to go File, Import, JLTF, which is a JLB. Fyat Lux, VRM conversion. So navigate to that folder that we just made and bring in that spark. Blammo. So, what we need to do here is he's rigged with this system right now called empties, and we need to get rid of that and make a new rig. So to do that, first of all, because this isn't very pleasant, we're going to go up to the top here and click this button. I don't know what that is, but it's going to allow us to see our textures correctly. Okay, so first we're going to grab everything, make sure you have the whole spark, and then go Object, Parent, and then Clear and Keep Transformation. Click that. And that's just going to move everything from a 0 position to the positions that they are now, so that when we get rid of these, you can just highlight this section of them over here, this group of empties, click those. We're going to go select all by type, empty, and we're going to get rid of those. Now if we didn't clear and keep transformation before doing that, we would, all of those items would go to 0 because they were being held up by their rig. Sweet. Next we need to export all of our textures. So to do that, just grab any item, doesn't matter which one, and come up to the top here under UV editing. Click that. And the reason we had one selected is so that it brought that up in our window here. You can unselect now. And if you look here under images, or under this drop down menu, you can see excuse me, you can see all of the images that make up all of our textures. We need to extract all of these. So to do that, we're going to click the first one, which is image 0, go to image at the top, save as, and we're going to navigate to our folder and our texture folder, and we're going to save as there. But if you noticed, when you come under images, save as, Shift Alt S is the hotkey. So we're going to use that. So we're going to go to the next image, Shift Alt S, and save. And we're going to do this for all of the textures. One by one. We don't need number 4, that's the black outline for our spark. We're going to recreate that in Unity. Shift Alt S. Save. Okay, now we can go back to layout mode, and what we're going to do is we're going to save this file now. We're going to go File, Save As, we're going to go to Blender, and we're just going to call this first 6948. Boom. Then we're going to go Save As again, and we're going to say underscore hollow. Save. Now we're going to remove the traits or the items that Mixamo is going to have a problem with. It's going to have a problem with a lot of this stuff. So definitely the graffiti, the backpack, the headdress, the mask. A lot of masks work fine, but we're going to do this correctly, so let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of the shoulder graffiti and the shoulder pads. This stuff is probably going to be fine. I'm going to leave that there. And if it's a problem, we can fix it later. Okay. Command S to save that, because this is our hollow guy. Next, you're going to grab all of him. File, Export, FBX. We're going to navigate to our FBX folder, and we're going to make sure that we're saving this as 6948 hollow. We're going to make a lot of FBXs, so we want to make sure that our file organization is correct. correct. Okay, so next we're going to head to Mixamo. Log in with your something something. And then we're going to go upload character and navigate to that folder. FBX, hollow, open. All this stuff is basically how I've done everything that you've seen me make over the last couple of months. So, if you've never used this before, it's pretty simple, straightforward, right? The chin goes on, guess what? The chin. And then the wrist right here. Elbows right in that little divot. Knees on the knees, right above these creases. And then the groin we're going to put right there. Boom. Alright, looking pretty good. Next, we're going to download that T-pose. Download. Head on over to our lovely file structure, and we're going to go to FBXs, and we're going to pull in that Spark that we just downloaded. And we downloaded this guy. Sorry, this guy. Pull that in here. Now guess what? He's named the same thing. It's not going to let us. So what we're going to do now is change this to rig. Bring that in. Boom. Okay. Back on over in Blender. We're done with this guy here, so we're going to go File, Open Recent, and we're going to open that original save. We're going to open that original file of our Spark. Now, converting this back to this view, we're going to get rid of everything that we just rigged. So that is the body, the waistband, these horns, and then these small horns here. And now we are just left with our traits. So we're going to head to the top, File, Import, FBX. We're going to go to that folder, and we're going to say 6948 rig, import. And now he should be in the correct spot. I did notice the T-pose is a little different from Mixamo to the T-pose that our character was originally in. So we're going to have to adjust this graffiti here. But if any of your traits need adjusting, you can just move them accordingly, and the rest of the process will work fine. So I'm going to just move this guy into a better spot. Okay, now that I have that in a better spot, I think that's looking good. We need to parent all of these things back to the new armature that we just made. So to do that, this is kind of confusing, and it's not obvious when you get it right. So you just got to make sure that you go through all of the steps and pay attention, follow along. So I'm going to go slow. We're going to grab the object that we want to parent. So let's start here at the back, and we're just going to move our way forward so we don't get confused. We're going to start with the graffiti. So we're going to highlight the graffiti. We're going to then shift and click this bone sticking out of the top of the head. That's our armature. So you have both of those selected. We're going to go up here to object mode, which is in the top left hand corner. Object mode. We're going to change it to pose mode. And we know that it's in pose mode because this turned blue. And then we're going to come over here to the other side into our viewport shading, and we're going to switch to wireframe. Now, having this selected the way we do, we're just going to this is in orange. That's how we know what we're selecting. Now we're going to pick which bone we want to parent this to. And we're going to do that bone right on the inside of his arm, or inside of his shoulder blades. And with that selected, you're going to go to pose at the top, parent, bone. And we know that worked because we have this little line here going to the object. Now it probably only connects to its world position, so that's why it stops out here. But that's all the indication you have that this worked. So, and it's not obvious on other ones because of all this mesh and stuff. So we just gotta go through it one by one. So we're gonna switch back to this mode, and we're gonna do the backpack next. So we're gonna come back to pose mode in the top left, switch to object mode, and we're gonna pick a new object. Next we're gonna do the backpack. So we're gonna highlight the backpack, shift, click the armature, over to object mode, change to pose mode, head on over to wireframe, and we already have this selected because it's the same bone. So with those two selected, we're going to go pose, parent, bone. And see what I mean? Like, it's not so obvious that that did anything. Oh, there it is. Boom. Yes. Parent. Boom. Okay. So, viewport. Next I'm going to do the headdress. So I'm going to change back to object mode. The headdress. Shift, click the armature. Then I'm going to go to object mode, pose mode, viewport, and then I'm going to pick this guy. And then I'm going to go pose, parent, bone. Okay. Viewport, object mode. So we've done those three. Next we're going to do the shoulder blades, or the shoulder pads. So with that selected and the armature selected, shift clicking both, object mode, pose mode, wireframe, and this time I'm going to pick, don't pick either one of those shoulders because we don't want the left side to be controlled by the right. We're going to pick the middle one, probably, that's his neck, so that we don't want it to move there. Probably, again, this middle one that all these other ones are selected. That's probably best. So with that selected, we're going to go to pose, parent, bone. Okay. Back to viewport. Next we're going to do his mask. Oh, sorry. Pose mode won't let me pick any other mode. So we'll go to pose mode, object mode. Now I can pick his mask. Shift clicking the armature, object, pose mode, wireframe, and then I'm going to pick this guy again. Pose, parent, bone. Okay, viewport. Next, finally, we do, last but not least, I'm still in pose mode. Switch on over to object mode. Take his graffiti and shift click the armature. Then we're going to go to object mode, pose mode, wireframe, and then that's the bone. Pose, parent, bone. Sweet. And we know it worked because there's that line. Okie dokie. Awesome. So now we can go back to viewport, pose mode, object mode, and now everything is rigged and ready to go. Now if you notice, our textures aren't correct. But don't worry about that, we're going to fix that in Unity. So, next we're going to highlight everything, and we're going to go to File, Export, FBX. We're going to go to our FBX folder, and this one we're going to call 6948 rig set, because he's got all of his items, and he's rigged. Okay, so file save as, so we can save this guy as our new file, and that is basically it for Blender. Next though, in order to optimize this guy for the Metaverse, we are going to need to optimize our textures. To do that, I'm going to use Adobe Illustrator, but you can use whatever program that you want. It's a really simple thing. All we're going to do is we're going to shrink the textures. So we're going to take them down from, I think they're 2K, to all the way to 540. I won't follow along to all of them, but I will let you know that this one, which is image 2 of our sparks, this one I'm going to leave at 10K, so 1080 by 1080, which is twice the size of this. That's because this is the biggest texture in our spark. It's the one that covers his whole body, or their whole body I should say, and it should be a little bit bigger, especially if you have like text in this like I do. You don't want it to be too small. But other than that, all of them are going to be 540. So I'll come back when all of that is done. Get rid of that. Last but not least, this one you're not going to export as a JPEG. You're going to export this one as a PNG because we want that sweet transparency. Image, I believe this is 9? 9. 9's export. Okay. And exit, and that's it for Illustrator. No. Okay. Now, we've exported our spark, we've exported our textures, we've resized our textures. Now it's time for Unity. So if you've done your homework and you've downloaded the plugins in the description below, you're going to already have this ready to go. But if you need to pause and come back, feel free to do so. This is going to take a minute to boot up because Unity is huge. So I'm going to come back. Well, first I got to do all this stuff. Okay, first things first, we're going to start a new project, 3D. I'm going to use 19.4.19. That's just the version that I learned this on. At the time it was important. I hear now it's not. But if you want that true click by click, I'm going to be using this version. Like I said, I hear that it's totally fine to use the current version. But if you are running into problems, leave a comment in the description down below and we will get to the bottom of it. So, first we're going to get a project name, VRM Spark. We're going to navigate to our folder structure and our folder Unity, and we're going to select that folder. So with 2019 version, project name, location, we're going to create a project. Okay, so with Unity open, what we're going to do is, like I said before, you're going to have to download the plugins that are in the description. But we're going to take those and we're going to load them up. So we're going to go to Assets, we're going to Import Package, Custom Package, we're going to go to our Downloads or wherever you put that folder, UniVRM, and we're going to open. And once again, this is going to take a little bit of time to import all of this stuff. So maybe I'll give it a hot second. Okay. If everything was successful, a couple extra folders were created in your asset window, and you have two new drop-down menus available to you at the top. If you've made it this far in the tutorial, I'd like to congratulate you. We are in the last leg, and we're almost there. So, we don't have too much left to do, but it is a little tedious. So, let's just get her done. So, down in your asset window, we're going to right-click, import new asset, and we're going to navigate to our folder. Oops. FBX's rig set. We're going to import that. Now, first things first, we're going to put him into our hierarchy. You could put him right into the world, but he's just going to place him anywhere. We want him at 0, 0, 0. So we're going to place him right there. And then down here in our asset window, we're going to reselect him. Go over to our rig and change generic to humanoid and hit apply. Great. Next, we need to fix all of our textures. So to do that, we're going to right click in our asset menu and go import new asset, and we're going to go to our texture folder. We're going to go to our small, and we're going to import all of these new textures. Okay, right now they're just flat textures. They're not going to do anything, so we need to remake new materials that are going to use these textures. So to do that, we're going to go right click in our asset menu. We're going to go create new material, and we're going to call this image 0. And then up in the top in our inspector, we're going to go to standard, and you're going to change that to UniGLTF and unlit. And in the color menu, by clicking on this little white dot, it'll open up a dialog, and you can search image 0 right there, and there you go. Loads in our viewport image asset window here. And we're going to do that for all the rest. So right click in the assets, create material. This one is image 1. We're going to go to inspector, standard, UniGLTF, unlit, main texture, image 1. And down the line we go. There. And this one we're going to go standard, GLTF again. But in this one we're just going to give it a black, solid black texture. Okay. Now, everything's almost done. Next, you're going to come into your, find your FBX again, and highlight him in the Asset Manager. He's going to show up here, where we change this to the humanoid rig. Here, under Materials, you're going to see all of those materials, and we're just going to switch out each one for each one. Now, again, the materials weren't called the same as the individual objects, so they don't match. So I'm gonna have this up off screen textures, and I'm also gonna have this off camera so that I could see which texture is which part, just so I can like match them up properly, because it's not so obvious. Back in here, okay, so the backpack, I know that is, let's see here. Sorry, bear with me here. The backpack is image 11. So we're going to click this circle, and it's going to bring up that window again. We can even move this over here so we can see. Click this there, and that's image 11. So we're going to place that in there. Now you can hit apply and you'll see that happen, but I kind of like to fill them all out and then have it all happen at once. So that's what I'm going to do. So body is M lines, those are also new material. M lines, M sure it's the right one. Oh, why is... Which one are those? Oh, new material. That's why. Because I didn't name it correctly. Mask, that's image 4, I think? Image 5? Yeah, image 5. And then his waist is... Alright, let's see if we got it right. So let's hit apply. Did I nail it? I got these wrong. They're pretty close. I think everything is... Okay, I got a couple things wrong here. Okay. Okay. So this is wrong. So what is this? This is... element. We're just going to change this here. Image 9. Wait. Next, it's this guy. I need to change this material. No, it's not image 9, it's image 7. There it is. Okay. So it looks like, yeah, so if you click on this, your Spark, the whole thing will highlight. If you click on it again, you'll bring up each property manager, and you could have put in your textures that way. But we're here now, so let's go. Okay, we are almost done. This guy is looking good. Okay, so next, what we're gonna do, you're gonna come down to your asset folder or your asset window, right click, we're going to go import new asset, we're gonna go to our cover folder, and we're gonna import that square cover that we picked. This is gonna come in handy right now. Okay, now we can highlight our Spark in our hierarchy stack, go to VRM ZERO and go export VRM. If you only have 3 warnings, you're in business. That's good news. Here there's a make T-pose. If you click that, it's gonna move him subtly. I haven't had too much of a problem in not doing it, and I'm kind of in the camp of it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I'm just not gonna experiment with these. All I'm going to do is I'm going to give this the title, Spark version 6948. Author is one and only Robot Pencil. And then over here, we can select our cover photo. 6948. And this will show up in programs as your the little avatar. So it's a good little, and then export. So now we're gonna put this into VRM. We're gonna make one more folder and call it VRMs. And then inside there, we're gonna hit save. And away we go. Now, if everything worked, what we can do is head on over to your program of choice. Let's go navigate to our folder. Fyat Lux, VRM conversion, UniVRMs, blah blah blah. Open. Here he is. There's our Spark. Select. Hey yo! And there we go. Now, our Spark is fully rigged, ready to go. We've got our arm graffiti. We've got our back graffiti. Our hands are looking good. We lost our full finger rig. It could be that the fingers in this model were too close together, so that it didn't recognize all of the fingers. But other than that, everything is looking perfect. So, what we can do... Thank you very much for making it to the end of the video. I hope this helped you turn your Spark into a VRM. As I said in the beginning, we've only exported one version of our VRM. Now it's embedded with all of the necessary framework to then go back in and add blend shapes, add look at features, and really kind of build on top of them. But for now, this will get you into the Monoverse. It won't get you into VR chat because we're missing the eye feature. But this tutorial has already been quite long already, so maybe we'll come back and do that again some other time. Thanks a lot for watching. Farther together. Give the video a like and a description, and we'll see you around the Metaverse. See you guys.